Robert, what is going on? I mean, I got a lot of different data. Did they pay the $4 million to $5 million to hackers? Biden's refusing it happened. This is the largest 5,500-mile Colonial pipeline. I'm in Florida right now. It got hit. Many different states got hit. What can you tell us about what really happened here?
Well, I can't tell you exactly what happened because I don't, work for the company, but, it sounds like they were hit by ransomware. And if you know anything about ransomware, they basically lock down your systems and tell you, if you don't pay, we're not going to unlock them. And not only that, we're going to delete all your data. So that's enormously, as you know, valuable to a company. So they'll pay almost anything to get that unlocked. And it sounds like that's what happened here in this case.
So is there a formula for ransomware on asking the right amount of money to get what a company is willing? Do you know if there's a formula for it?
Well, I don't know if you remember the hijacking of ships that was going on near Somalia, but they knew, what the cargo was worth. They knew how much the company was insured for. They knew, so it was a calculated business decision. And when they negotiated with the hijackers in Somalia, I mean, they knew their business down to the penny. So I would imagine the same thing goes on for these hackers. They understand the nature of the company, and then they basically figure out what they can extract. And I think for them, it's not like just a smash and grab. It's a calculated business decision. So in many cases, like in the cases of the Somalian hijackers, they had funders. So these guys may even be funded by somebody. They've got bills they got to pay. I mean, this is a business for them. And unfortunately, we've created this vulnerable infrastructure that allows these businesses to thrive.
How much is going on right now? Are you seeing a lot of this take? I mean, obviously, this has been going on for a while, but the tactic and approach probably has changed. Are you seeing a lot more of this happening today?
No, I don't think it's anymore. I think it's just pervasive across industry. One of the things that got me, focused on China was really understanding that this was going on. And when people think about this, they just think about the hackers. They don't think about the social engineering going on and the profiling of the company. These hacks can be very sophisticated in the way they work, and in many ways can have state-sponsored activity behind them. In the case of some of the companies I looked at, it wasn't so much as a cyber hack as it was a human hack. And, they're using social engineering. I remember in one case, they basically found out that the guy that had the keys to the servers was actually a football fan, a college football fan. And so they crafted a newsletter for his football team because they knew that he got it. And then they embedded in that newsletter a link that gave them access. So many times they're looking at Facebook profiles of these people, Twitter profiles. They're surveilling the company, who has access, and then they're trying to figure out what does this person click on? What are their habits? So it's a really sophisticated human engineering. So it's social engineering really, and it takes a long time to really cultivate targets in this manner. It's just not like you can spam people, but a lot of companies are getting sophisticated in terms of what they tell their employees about how to be careful about things. Some of the things I've seen have been basically generated for the single person that they know that they can get access to the system.
Do we know how this dark side hacker group that's from Russia, do we know how they hacked into the Colonial pipeline? Has that come out public?
No, I don't think so, but I would imagine it's some kind of social, my guess would be that some kind of social engineering. They found out somebody that they wanted to target. They sent them, I would imagine, some kind of phishing email, and then they clicked on a link that they probably shouldn't have clicked on, and the company had access through that. Listen. It's very hard to just break into a system. Most companies have firewalls and everything else, so they're looking for somebody to do something that provides a vulnerability that they can exploit. The thing that really people ought to be concerned about is not only is this happening to things like Colonial Pipeline, we saw where probably a state-sponsored hacker was trying to put chemicals into water treatment in a city in Florida. We've seen the Christmas bombing in Memphis, where it took down first responders and the whole cellular network for AT&T in Tennessee for like 2 days last Christmas. So there's all kinds of infrastructure attacks going on that, when you look across the country, we've got a big problem here in terms of vulnerabilities.
Yeah, that's very obvious. And by the way, we're not talking about a small company. You're talking about 5,500-mile pipeline, transports 100 million gallons of fuel a day. This is a sophisticated company. It's not like they probably have cybersecurity insurance. They probably have the right analysts. They probably have the right team in place. So this could happen from the smallest company to the biggest company. We've done these, my wife, this will typically happen to us. It'll happen at least once a week. They'll get an email saying, hey, Jennifer, coming from me, saying, hey, Jennifer, I just want you to know, I forgot your phone number. Can you please email it to me so I can call you back? And Jennifer will come and she'll say, babe, did you email me this? I said, babe, why would I email you this? I'm your wife. I'm your husband. I know your phone number. But they'll do this, and so many times. So now we have a whole team that looks out for this. But no matter what you do, they seem to still be figuring out a way to how to get in there. What can companies do to prevent this from happening?
Well, it's really about teaching their employees to do just what you did, which is, or your wife did, basically come and ask you, did you really send this? If you have any suspicion, first of all, don't click on any links. I think that's the biggest thing. When I was in the Pentagon, the Joint Staff got hacked, and it was basically somebody clicked on a link in an email that they shouldn't have clicked on. And then that case, it was the Russians that we reported that had done it. But I mean, this stuff is going on all over the country. I think the problem is people don't realize how vulnerable our infrastructure in our companies and our government is to this type of thing. And we've looked at warfare through the lens of, F-35s and tanks and ships and bombers, and I flew bombers. But quite frankly, warfare is coming to our shores, into our own living rooms, just like you said, into your wife's email, because this is the way that we undermine the economic, the social, and the political fabric of our society today. And that's what's going on in the big time. By the way, there was a guy named Roger Robinson who worked in the Reagan administration. And what they did back in the Reagan administration is they slipped into Russia's supply chain a valve that ended up creating the biggest explosion, non-nuclear explosion in history. It was witnessed by our satellites in space in the Soviet Union. And so infrastructure attacks have been going on through nefarious means, since the Cold War. What's happening today is that we've connected all of our infrastructure and our companies to the internet. And that means anybody at any time can be attacked today.
This makes me think about, obviously you look at the stats, we've all read the stats. 68% of gas stations in North Carolina reported fuel outages. According to Gas Buddy, roughly half of all the gas stations in Georgia, South Carolina, Washington, D.C., and Virginia also reported outages. There was an interview done this morning on Fox Business with Mario Bartiromo, where John Castimatidis, who's a billionaire, says the payments have been made to the terrorists. I understand from my sources that $4 million was paid. He's calling them terrorists. We don't know who these people are. And, what makes me think about this as you go into it, okay, so gas prices beginning of the year were around $2.25. They hit $3.03. That's a 40% increase, 35% increase like this. When you and I spoke last time, we've spoken and you got millions on top of millions of views where you were speaking from experience as the former senior director, National Security Council. Do you think this is because they're saying maybe this is, because if you go on DarkSide's website, they'll say, here's our business model. Here's who we've hacked before. Here's who we've gotten money from. We're not political. We're not religious. Matter of fact, we even have some values and principles. We don't target funeral homes. We don't target health insurance. There's certain things they don't do. So these are very value-based criminals, if you want to call them. So they're even telling you how they go about doing business. Do you think this is at all linked to the man at the top, Putin, who is, encouraging this to take place? Or do you think this was just a couple guys, an organization that's making money and this is their business model?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point, right? We don't know. And we don't even know if it's the Russians. I mean, it could be coming from anywhere. It could be coming from within the United States. I mean, that's the nature of cyber attacks today. And, you know, so, I mean, it's very hard to say who it is or even what their motivations are. Like, it's funny because, you know, we said that all of a sudden the lockdown stopped the coronavirus in China. You know, we can't even believe that. So I would not believe anything that these guys said because we have no way of verifying that information.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.